Thank you so much, Dr. Jensen.
Thank you. We have had enough. That's why we're here. We absolutely have had enough, and we're going to take Minnesota back. This year, we have an opportunity, and we know this has got to be about electability. We've got to put a candidate at the top of the ticket that can all the way down help every representative and senator that's running on the Republican side of the equation fundraise. That's what we've got to do. We announced 9 months ago that we're going for it. In that time, we've gone out, we've gone north, south, east, and west to communities across the state. And what we've done is we've tried to energize conservatives and independents. We want to tell them conservative means conservare, the Latin, safeguard. We're trying to safeguard the best that's within us because that's been slipping away from us. We've seen the draconian lockdown policies, the one-size-fits-all approach that Governor Walz brings to the table. We have seen the ridiculous moving of the goalposts. We've seen the sham modeling, the masks, the mandates. We have energized Minnesotans. We go to a meet and greet and expect 30 people, and there's 300 people in a pole barn waiting. We have led. I was the one who raised my hand saying, what you're asking doctors to do with death certificates is wrong. You're corrupting the data. I expected someone to fix it. I didn't expect my license to be investigated 2 months later. I'm now on my 5th investigation. I led the charge against Tim Walz with his non-transparent models. When he came on and said 74,000 people are going to die within the next 3 months unless we do something. I led that. I led against Joe Biden when on September 9th he came out and said, we are going to mandate that if you've got over 100 employees, you're going to get them all vaccinated or they're fired. We have seen the courts come back and support what we've done and what we've said. They are coming to bat for us, as is the U.S. Senate. Fact of the matter is, I called for civil disobedience on September 9th in a video. I led the charge saying Jan Malcolm shouldn't have a job being the head of the Department of Health. And I've led again with Governor Walz saying, why have you been willing to blame children and parents for the influx of disease in the nursing homes? That was below, and that's what he did. And we're leading now. If you look at the Minnesota Post poll from 3 months ago, we had the highest ranked name recognition. Our team, Team Jensen, had the highest name recognition of any candidate by more than 10 points. The recent KSTP poll, I had the highest favorability rating among all the candidates, including Walz, in the independent group and the conservative group. And we're going to continue to lead, because when we win in November, we are going to make a pact with Minnesota. And we are going to, in the first 100 days, devote ourselves completely to passing a stand your ground bill, a constitutional carry bill, voter ID, rewrite the emergency powers, and get students some choice. That's going to be the priority. We believe that. We need to throw a bigger tent. Reagan said it in the 80s. What does that mean? Well, we know that if you look at the demographics, we've been losing each election cycle for the last 10 years suburban women. I would say it's because the Republican Party has not done a good job of respecting the suburban women. So we shouldn't just talk about it. We got to ask ourselves, how do we connect better? Well, first, if you're talking with one, respect them. Ask them what they think. How do they communicate? Are they all ordering the Star Tribune in the printed form in droves? No, they're not. They're on social media. They're paying attention on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. We've got 500,000 people that follow us every day. We're crossing over 80,000 on Twitter today as we speak. We want to communicate better than we've ever communicated with women because they're driving the show. You want some evidence of that? Look at what the Mama Bears did in Virginia. They led the charge. They are revitalizing the conservative cause, and they need to be attended to. We need to go to the minority communities. My wife and I and Angela, we spent the afternoon on Lake Street today, meeting with Somalians, meeting with blacks, going to businesses, eating pizza, which was pretty good, and just asking, what matters to you? You know what they said? Public safety. Public safety. They said, that's the first thing. I said, how do we fix that? Get cops on the street. These people don't want to defund the police. They understand. We also have to go to the millennials and the Gen Zs And you know, Republicans can do a pretty crappy job sometimes of extending a sincere invitation. We've got to do it better. We've got to go to Gen Zs and millennials and say, hey, we need you at this table. We need your energy and your intellect. You may not have been educated the way I was, where you had to memorize the 50 capitals of the states in 4th grade, but you're much more intuitive. And if my phone goes down, and my computer goes down, the last thing I'm going to go look for is a white guy. I'm going to look for a young man, a young woman, and say, would you fix this? Because frankly, I don't know how to fix those things. We have got to do a better job and find a new path to throw a bigger tent. I met yesterday with a couple of union people. What did they say? They want to come over to us. I met with farmers last week. What do they say? The Democratic policies have not done well for us. There is a pathway that we can win, but we've got to go get it, because it's not going to be easy. I am not a career politician. I'm a career family doctor. My job every day with 15 to 20 patients is to have thoughtful conversations and try to figure out what we can do in their journey to healing. I think when you talk about career politicians, we probably all think the same thing. 11th hour shenanigans, special sessions, gridlock, omnibus bills, an excessive devotion to seniority, secret dealings. That's what we get with political leadership. I'm not interested. I don't like politics. I really don't like politicians. I like everyday people. I like solving problems. This isn't my challenge. This is our challenge. We know the system's not working. I mean, heavens to Betsy, if you think the system's working and you like what you got, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want something different and you want to solve some problems, then you need to pay attention to what we're doing. And lastly, we have got to take a page from President Trump's playbook. You may not like the way he ran his Twitter page. I didn't. You may not like the way he sometimes gets bombastic. I didn't. But how could you argue with his policies, his regulations, his Supreme Court justices, the income tax in 2017? And how could you not appreciate the fact that he drove the dialogue? He engaged America. Before he started talking about DACA, 40% of people didn't even know what it was about. He drove that conversation. That wasn't his problem. People screamed at him and said, hey, why don't you solve this? It's a moral imperative. A lot of people don't even realize DACA came from Obama in 2012 with an executive order. And when it came, he had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. Why didn't he take care of business then if it was such a moral imperative? Don't blame Trump. But we're going to take a page from Trump's playbook, and we're going to trailblaze the issues. And we are going to have the hard conversations. If something happens and people say, I want to talk about it, we are not going to run from it. When people want to talk about Second Amendment rights, we are going to champion them by elevating them. Second Amendment rights are not a gift from the legislature or a political party. They are God-given rights by our Creator. And they're in our Constitution. And we have to elevate them every legislative session. And if someone wants to talk about it, we'll talk about it and we'll defend it. C.S. Lewis once said, if you talk to 100 Christians who have fallen away from their faith, not one of them will have been reasoned out of their faith. What you will find is that their faith drifted away from them because they didn't elevate it, they didn't champion it, they didn't pray it, they didn't go to church, they didn't meditate. It just drifted away from them. If you want to champion something, you elevate it, you defend it, you proclaim it, you talk about it. That's what I do. And that's what I'm going to do with Second Amendment rights, and it's what I'm going to do for the sanctity of life. Because we've got to protect the unborn all the way to the people who are finishing up their time on earth. If we put a candidate at the top of the ticket that could all the way down jazz up Minnesota, we got a chance. And that's why I'm running. Because I've had enough. We are running against a big machine, and the face of that machine is a guy like Tim Walz, a woman like Ilhan Omar, and a guy like Bernie Sanders, and there's another face on there too, and that's AOC. So if we don't get in this and do this together, we are going to lose. And if we lose, it's going to be pretty darn barren this decade. So let's not. Let's all together say, we've had enough, we're in this all the way, we're engaged. And I want to say thank you for letting me talk to you. Appreciate it. Would I comment on the $7 billion? There is no $7 billion surplus. They stole $7 billion of yours. It's your money. When they talk about our surplus, they want to sort of tell you, oh, look at how conservative we were spending. Our spending has gone from $30 billion to $52 billion in 11 years. That's a 75% increase in our budget. The average wage earner has gone up 25% during that time. Government took a triple wage, a triple raise compared to the common average wage earner. That is not a surplus. That is your money, and you're entitled to it. If they don't want to give it back to you right now, then they better escrow it, put it in something, and use it to reduce the budget. Because if they put it in the budget and start spending, then they'll tap into that, and our budget will explode, and we'll be over $60 billion the next cycle. That is not their money. That's yours. Questions?
Isn't it actually closer to 9 million by the time you include their slush fund?
You're darn right. It's closer to actually 11 billion if you add in the slush fund money and the money that's coming from the feds.
And they're keeping that money. Why?
Well,
because
the kid Walls
they're
is
borrowing it from us interest free.
they're keeping that money because they can.
Yeah. Because we allow them.
Yeah. Amen. I'm with you, bro. Yes, ma'am.
What's the amendment, constitutional law? Can you expand that a little bit more?
Well, we need to do one thing. Constitutional carry. I think we need to do it at 18. I'll be very honest. I like the idea of a 2-hour seminar before you get your constitutional carry, just to make sure you know what the law is regarding alcohol use, anything like that. But I think we need to talk a little bit about stand your ground. Minnesota does not have actual castle doctrine. We've had our courts say that they will abide by the concept. We need to write our own castle doctrine law, and we need to include our vehicles as our home. So that if someone tries to carjack us and we're in it, I don't want you getting out the driver's side because they say, I want you to pull a gun out and take care of business. This is crazy. The only way we're going to get law and order back is to retrieve it ourselves. You cannot put enough cops on the street corners to stop the lawlessness that is out there now. The genie is out of the bottle. We are in for the fight of our lives. I do not think any of us want to be irresponsible with guns. And I don't think we will. But frankly, there is no way we get our safety back without participating. There just isn't. We've gone that far down the road. You can see it. I mean, you can see people with strawman purchases. This woman in St. Paul, 8 times she bought a gun for her boyfriend who was illegal, prohibited, and she sold it to him. And he used that gun to kill people. I mean, folks, this is astonishing. Next question. I know that Dennis Smith wants to speak, and I appreciate him. Can I give a big hand for Dennis Smith and Lynn Target? So thank you so much for coming. It's my pleasure to be here. Folks, we're in for the fight of our life, but I know we're up to the task. Esther 4:14, have you considered you're in the position you're in for such a time as this? Be there. Thank you.